Today, I want to talk about transitioning to Technicolor. And the reason I want to talk about this is because one new thought can transition your life from the black and white drabness of a consciousness and experience of pain and suffering into the Technicolor of joy and fulfillment. And it all begins with one new thought. The power of a thought can transition your world. So that just like Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz, the first 20 minutes of the movie were in black and white, drab, dusty Kansas, and a storm brewing. But then, when that house dropped on the witch and she opened the door, all of a sudden, it was a brand new world in Technicolor. Well, we can transition to Technicolor as well. And I want to give you an example of how one thought, one vision can be just enough to cause us to make that transition. In 1985, before Boris Yeltsin became the head of what was once the Soviet Union, he was a high-ranking government official. And he came to Houston, Texas, on a mission to a confabulation with the folks from NASA to see what the United States was doing with their space program. So while he was in Houston, on the way back to the airport, he just had a whim. Boris Yeltsin said, "I want to see what this grocery store thing is like. Let's stop by a grocery store." So Boris Yeltsin stopped into a grocery store. Now, we stop into a grocery store once every 7 or 8 days. But when Boris Yeltsin stopped into this grocery store back in 1985, he was amazed. He was speechless. And he was literally brought to tears. He ran through the aisles and he saw all the cookies and all the crackers and all the different types of milk. And then he went to the back and he saw all the different cuts of meat and all the different types of fish. And he realized the regular American has access to things that even the leader, Gorbachev, doesn't have access to. The regular American has fish and meats and 17 types of detergent and 22 types of cereal in different sizes, flavors, and colors. And milk everywhere, milk of all kinds, skim and 2% and buttermilk and buttercream. And he wept for his people because he saw a new vision. A vision of a Technicolor life that his people didn't have access to. And in that moment, Boris Yeltsin knew that the Soviet Union had to change. He knew that the capitalist system that the Soviets and many Americans downed because of its dark underbelly actually brought light and joy and fulfillment and satisfaction to many. And he knew he had to transition the Soviet Union from a drab black and white existence to Technicolor. But just as Boris Yeltsin was presented with an array of choices, and just as Boris Yeltsin was presented with a new opportunity that previously hadn't even existed, not in his mind or in his world, we are also presented with a wide array of opportunities. Opportunities for growth, opportunities for healing, and opportunities to turn our world from the drab black and white, of consciousness and an experience of pain and suffering, into a world of technicolor, filled with joy, filled with laughter, filled with ease, filled with fulfillment. So I want to ask you right now, before we go any further, what is your technicolor world? What is your world devoid of the darkness and dankness of pain, suffering, struggle, and lack? There is a vision within you that God placed in you of a technicolor world. This vision may have been clouded over by all of the misinformation that you received and all of the miseducation you received about what you are and what you aren't, and what the world will allow and what the world will not. But beneath that, there still shines within you the vision God placed in you for your world and your life and for the whole world and the whole experience of life. So before we go any further, because I want you fully involved in this experience, just take a moment and ask, God, let your grace, your love, your peace, your warm embrace, your unconditional acceptance fall down upon us like the rain waters. And just as the rain waters wash away the dust and pollen, let the rain waters of your love wash away the dust and the pain and the trauma of our past. Uncover within us, God, right here and now, your vision for our happiness, for our joy, and for our fulfillment. It is a vision you placed within us. It is a vision you created us to fulfill. For the vision you placed within us is a subset and a reflection of your vision of love for all that you have created in your expansion called us. So God, in this moment, reveal to us your technicolor vision for our worlds. And just breathe this in for a moment. Just allow God's technicolor vision for your world to unfurl and unfold from within you. Just breathe it in, knowing it is for you. Just breathe it in, knowing it is sanctioned by God, blessed by God, ordained by God. Just breathe it in, knowing that God's vision for you is anointed by God. Just breathe this in and hold this in. And see how long you can hold it. See how long you can hold this vision of your technicolor world. And quite often, when we are asked to hold a vision such as this, the first thing that comes up is, but how? But how can I transition to technicolor? and I will offer a response. I will offer a response because I got 3 points. So I'm going to offer these 3 points on how to transition to Technicolor, and then I'm out. The 3 points I would like to offer are: number one, look within. Number two, find one key thought, because it's simple. And number three, create your Technicolor world with that key thought. So I'm going to repeat them. Number one, look within. Number two, find that key thought. And number three, create with that key thought. So let's get at it. Let's unpack this. Number one, look within. This is so radical, so important, yet so simple. The reason it's so important is because we have placed conditions on our ability to have a Technicolor world. I will have a Technicolor world when this happens, when this promotion comes through, when I find this relationship, when I get this new job, when I move to this new zip code. I will find my Technicolor world when this political party is in charge, when my son or daughter does this, when something else I can't control happens. So we've placed conditions on our ability and our willingness to create and accept a Technicolor world. So we've looked to find that Technicolor world outside of us. And interestingly enough, as A Course in Miracles says, the ego's maxim is seek and do not find. We will never find that Technicolor world outside of us because it doesn't exist. Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13th chapter says, where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, that knowledge will cease. And it indicates an ever-changing world. So if we're looking at something in the world, what we're looking for in the world, we may find it, but the moment we find it, it's out of fashion. We may find those bell-bottom jeans, but guess what? As soon as we found those bell-bottom jeans, they went out of fashion. And this is, of course, echoed in Buddhist consciousness as well. A foundational Buddhist doctrine is the doctrine of impermanence, and it holds that all conditioned things, physical, mental, and environmental, are in a constant state of flux. They are constantly changing. And if something is constantly changing, we can't hold on to it. And we learned that from a gospel song. That song, Hold On to God's Unchanging Hands, where it says, time is filled with swift transition. So hold on to God's unchanging hand. So in 3 different sources, we find that the world outside of us is constantly changing. Mores are changing. What is in fashion is changing. Ideas are changing. And that is not where we will find our Technicolor world. For as soon as we think we find what we want, then our focus moves into grasping at it jealously so it won't slip away, or trying to maintain it in a world that is constantly changing. So we need not look outside of us for this Technicolor world. We must look within. It exists inside of us. A Course in Miracles lesson 70 says, nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. But this also means that nothing outside yourself really has the power to upset you in any way. Your equilibrium need not be defined by anything outside of you that you can't control. You can control and find your equilibrium. You can control and find your inner peace. You can control and find your sense of self, your sense of purpose, your sense of being, and your sense of power, grace, and glory within you, according to A Course in Miracles lesson 70, lesson 170 through 80. And then, A Course in Miracles lesson 281 elaborates on this even more. It says, I can be hurt only by my thoughts. Only my thoughts can injure me. And What it elaborates on is that our thoughts within us emanate outside of us and get reflected to us, creating our world. So as we are aware of our inner thoughts, and as we accept and work with the inner thoughts that align with God's love, the universe's abundance, and our willingness to be in alignment with love and to love ourselves, we can then support the creation of a world outside of us that is a reflection of unconditional love and an infinite universe of love and our experiences of love. So once again, the first step in this process of transitioning to Technicolor is to no longer give the outer world power to determine whether or not we will see a Technicolor world, but instead to look within and look within at our thoughts, for our thoughts are important in creating our world. Whereas we might have had black and white thoughts of I am not enough, black and white thoughts such as there is a force outside of me that is punishing me for guilt because I have felt unconsciously separated from God, black and white thoughts such as there is not enough in the world. We can transition to Technicolor thoughts, thoughts of God's unconditional love for us, thoughts of our selves as expressions and extensions of God's light and love, Technicolor thoughts of an abundant world filled with joy and peace that is God's will for us. And these are the thoughts that can sponsor our Technicolor world. But we must find them within, and we must work with these thoughts within. And this is how we can transition to Technicolor. But once we find these thoughts within, we might say, well, dang, Reverend Jim, that's a whole lot of thoughts. But all of those thoughts can be distilled into a simple mantra that you can use over and over again, a simple mantra that you can drill down into the depths of your consciousness, a simple mantra that you can go by and cause all of the cells in your body to vibrate with, a simple mantra that you can move into every layer of your consciousness, a simple mantra that you can let become your theme, a simple mantra that you can let become you. And the simple mantra that you can let become you is from A Course in Miracles, lessons 170 through 180. And here is that simple mantra. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. So I want you to repeat that simple mantra that can turn your world to Technicolor. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. And I want you to repeat this mantra repeatedly and allow it to seep into your consciousness, to your energy, and every layer of your awareness in the same way that water seeps into a dry sponge. So let's do it 10 times. Close your eyes and open yourself to it and allow the energy of it to permeate your energy field and to change every cell in your body and every layer of your being. Let's do it 10 times. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Breathe it in one last time for good measure. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Just breathe that in. Just breathe that in. And that teaching that was channeled from Jesus in A Course in Miracles is an echo of a previous teaching in the Bible in John 10:30, where Jesus said, I and my Father are one. And Jesus also taught as a corollary to that, know ye not that ye too are gods? These things I do, ye shall do greater things. And he came to teach us that. So we are one with God. Never have we been separate from God. Never have we been separated from God. Never have we been prodigal children dismissed from the Garden of Eden because of our sins. And never have we had to work our way back into God's good graces like the fallen gods of Greek mythology. Never have we had to go through this obstacle course of pain, suffering, struggle, and lack to get back into the grace of God, for never have we been separated from God. That was just an illusion that we thought that clouded over the true thoughts of God. So how can we turn our world technicolor? We can connect with this God of love. God is but love, and therefore so am I, which means God is not but judgment. God is not but keeping a scorecard. God is not but punishing us. God is not but judging us. God is not but withholding us, and God is not a sadist. God is but love, and therefore so am I. So we can connect with that God, and we can rely on the wisdom, the influence, the power, grace, and glory, and the presence and the experience of that God. I'm reminded of an old song by the Emotions, Don't Ask My Neighbor. In that song, Don't Ask My Neighbor, she said, come to me. Don't ask my neighbor how I feel about you. Come to me. You'll find I love you. Don't ask my neighbor. Come to me. You'll find I've been waiting here all along. Well, don't ask our neighbors about God. Don't ask your grandmother who had a different perception of God. Don't ask a bunch of men from the middle centuries in the Nicene Council purpose was to uh, whose purpose was to control you, and so they twisted stuff. Don't ask them who God is. Ask yourself. Ask yourself as you go into meditation. Ask yourself as you go into prayer. Ask yourself to feel the presence of God as God would appear to you. Ask yourself to feel the love of God as God's love would fall down upon you like the rainwaters. Ask yourself, God, what do you have to say to me today? God, what would you have me do today? God, how would you have me see my world today? God, how would you have me see you today? Would you have me see you as present? Would you have me see you as loving? Would you have me see you as peace? Would you have me see you as joy? Don't ask your neighbor, ask God through your own connection with God that is fully available to you without a middleman charging you a toll. You can feel and experience this God of love, this God of unconditional acceptance, and its creative force and its power and glory. We must lose the concept of God that has been foisted upon us and gain the concept of God created and developed through our own connection with God. Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, also known as Osho, said, in order to find God, you have to lose your mind. But he didn't mean you had to enter an insane asylum. He meant you have to lose the prior conditioning and the miseducation that caused you to think God was apart from you, that caused you to think that God was this being of vengeance and punishment, that caused you to think that you were being judged by God, and that caused you to think that you were not enough and that you could never measure up, and caused you to think that you have to go through an obstacle course of pain and suffering in order to atone for your sins. A Course in Miracles tells us there is no sin, it has no consequence. There is only a misunderstanding that we had that can be corrected with God's grace. So, when we immerse ourselves in the God of love through our experiences, we find our holiness. And in that holiness, there is nothing we can't do. In that holiness, we find the salvation from the consciousness and energy of pain and suffering. In that holiness, we know that we are blessed as a beloved of God, and we know that we can accept God's blessings. So we must immerse ourselves in that God energy. In some of my previous classes, we did some practical exercises here where we just chanted God, 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 and we found our vibration rising. We just chanted God, 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 and we found our energy rising. We just chanted God, 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 and we found our mood rising, and we chanted God, 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 and we found our vision rising, and we found our energy rising, and we found the level of love in the collective group moving not just arithmetically, but moving exponentially into a collective consciousness of love. And in that collective holiness, just like Boris Yeltsin's eyes were opened, our eyes were opened to new possibilities that our human limited ego minds could not even conceive. We also did it with writing, where we just wrote love, 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 love. And we wrote love, 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 love. And we allowed that energy and that spirit and that consciousness and that vibration of love to overtake us. And then we asked, love, what would you have me say today? What would you say to me today? And we found that we were channeling the energy of love. And God is love. And so, A Course in Miracles lessons 38, 39, and 40 say, when we are in that consciousness, there is nothing our holiness cannot do. Our holiness is our salvation from pain, suffering, and struggle, and we are blessed and we can accept God's blessings. So when we create this inner Technicolor world in alignment with the consciousness and energy of Job, then our third point is that we can paint our world with us. God, what would you cause my Technicolor world to be? God, what is your vision for my Technicolor world? God, what would you have me say and do right now in order to allow your Technicolor world to supplant the black and white world that I have created for myself when I was in misunderstanding? God, what will you say to me? What would you have me do? And this process of using the consciousness and energy and power of God from within us, we then send that energy out to find its reflection in our outer world and draw us to that reflection and draw that reflection to us. So this is not explicitly what Boris Yeltsin did. But Boris Yeltsin was confronted with the same divine idea of a Technicolor world when he went to that grocery store in Texas. He wept for his people, knowing that there was a vision of more, that God had a vision of love. And he knew that he had been divinely anointed to support that new consciousness. So guess what he did? He went back and he talked to Gorbachev, and glasnost became a policy of openness, and their eyes were opened to a new truth. We too must go through a transition, and we are going through a transition to Technicolor. That was part of his process. Part of our process is releasing the thoughts, releasing the energies, releasing the patterns, and releasing the habits that keep us stuck in a black and white world when God is waiting for us to join it in a Technicolor world. Our Technicolor world is not dependent on something outside of us. We must experience it through meditation and through immersion. We must use it by sending that energy out and causing that energy to find its reflection and attract that reflection to us. And just like Dorothy, when that house fell on that witch, we can emerge. We can emerge into our Technicolor world. We must look within. We must find the key thought that God is but love, and therefore so am I. And we must create with that key thought. So I ask you again in closing, what is your Technicolor world? Is it your heart's desire that has lain dormant within you, covered over by your belief in your lack, belief in your sinfulness, belief in your not enoughness, and belief in a world that would punish you and withhold from you? We can find that Technicolor world. God has held it inviolate within us, waiting to be uncovered when we open to listen to the voice for God, waiting to be uncovered when we open to merge and be at one with the energy of God, waiting to be uncovered in the right until the right moment, which is now, for us to accept our oneness with God and our oneness with love, our innocence, our perfectness, our perfection, our holiness, our glory, and our grace. And now is the moment that we can accept and we can create and we can allow our Technicolor world. Now is the moment that we can slip the surly bonds of past consciousness that kept us tapped into an energy of guilt and fear and shame. And we can recognize that God is love, and therefore so are we. And the love of God that we are can allow the joy and the peace and the fulfillment that God wills for us. For God's will for us is perfect happiness. So I ask you again, what will you do to create your Technicolor world? What will you do to allow your Technicolor world? How will you revel in your Technicolor world? And how will you let God cause you to remember that your Technicolor world is your birthright? Three things. Look within. Get your key phrase, God is but love, and therefore so am I, and use it to create your Technicolor world. And that's what I want to share with you today. Thank you very much.